The scrap world Caron Deshikau. 9 was famous for one thing only: dead ships. Broken cruisers, burned fighters, ancient wrecks pulled from forgotten battlefields. Aliens came here not to buy history, but to erase it. Everything was melted down, recycled, and sold again. Among the crowd stood Elias Cross, a human scavenger in a faded pressure jacket. His boots were patched, his gloves burned at the fingers. He looked no different from the other scavengers. Except for one thing: he was human. And in this part of the galaxy, humans were rare. Elias had learned long ago that aliens did not trust humans. Humans were considered reckless, emotional, and dangerously creative. Not good traits in a galaxy built on rigid rules and ancient traditions. Still, Elias survived. He survived by being stubborn, clever, and by never walking away from broken things. The auction master, a tall insect-like alien, floated above the platform, clicking its mandibles loudly. "Next item," it announced. Lot 73. One unidentified alien vessel. Estimated age: 5,000 standard years. A hologram flickered to life. The crowd went quiet. The ship was massive, long and sharp, with strange layered armor that looked grown rather than built. Dark metal covered its surface, scarred by time but not destroyed. Symbols ran along its hull, glowing faintly before fading away. Elias felt a strange chill. He had never seen a ship like that before. This vessel, the auction master continued, was recovered drifting beyond the black veil. No power, no response. All attempts to interface failed. The alien paused. Historical records identify it as a pre-extinction war vessel. The crowd reacted instantly. Some aliens stepped back. Others hissed or muttered prayers. One species simply left. Elias frowned. "Pre-extinction?" he whispered. The auction master raised its voice. "This ship belonged to the Varkun Dominion, a civilization erased 5,000 years ago. All records state their warships were uncontrollable." A bold red warning flashed in the hologram. "Dangerous, non-operable, no refunds. Starting bid," the auction master said. 10 credits. Silence. 10 credits was nothing. Less than the price of a meal. And yet, no one moved. Elias looked around in disbelief. A heavy-set reptilian scavenger shook his head. "Cursed ship," he growled. "Killed its own masters." Another alien spat on the floor. "It thinks. It judges. It decides who lives." Elias swallowed. He had heard stories like this before. Stories aliens told to explain things they did not understand. The auction master waited. No bids. 10 credits, it repeated. "Any bidder?" Elias raised his hand. The crowd turned instantly. Dozens of alien eyes locked onto him. "Human?" someone hissed. "Is he insane?" Elias cleared his throat. His voice sounded small in the massive hall. 10 credits. The auction master blinked its compound eyes. Confirmed. No counteroffers? Silence. Sold. A sharp sound echoed through the hall. The ship belonged to Elias Cross. The crowd exploded into noise. Some laughed, some cursed. Others stared at him with something close to fear. The reptilian scavenger leaned closer. "You just bought your own death, human." Elias forced a smile. Wouldn't be the first time. The docking bay was cold and dark. The ancient ship rested there like a sleeping beast. Up close, it was even larger than Elias had imagined. Its hull was smooth, untouched by rust, as if time had simply passed it by. Elias floated toward the airlock in his suit, tools strapped to his back. "Okay," he muttered. "Let's see what you're hiding." The airlock should not have worked. But the moment his gloved hand touched the surface, ancient symbols flared to life. The ship recognized him. Elias froze. Lights spread across the hull, flowing like liquid metal. The airlock opened with a deep, controlled sound. "That's not normal," Elias whispered. He floated inside. The interior was vast, clean, silent, no decay, no dust. The walls were covered in alien patterns that shifted slowly, like they were breathing. Elias's heart pounded. "Hello," he said, feeling foolish. The ship answered. The floor beneath his boots solidified, gravity engaging smoothly. Lights brightened to a comfortable level. Then a voice spoke. Not loud, not threatening, ancient, calm. Biological signature detected. Elias spun around. He. Species identified, human. The walls pulsed. Genetic markers confirmed. Neural variability high. Emotional range extreme. Cognitive adaptability exceptional. Elias swallowed. "I'll take that as a compliment." Silence followed. Then, compatibility achieved. The ship trembled. Systems roared to life. Energy surged through corridors that had been dead for thousands of years. Elias grabbed the wall as the ship moved. Whoa, easy! Supreme Command Protocol initiated." Elias stared. Supreme what? A glowing figure formed in the air before him. Tall, abstract, neither machine nor creature. An artificial intelligence. Old, powerful. "You have been accepted as successor." Elias laughed nervously. "I think you've got the wrong guy. I'm just a scavenger." "Correction, you are human." The AI stepped closer. Previous species failed due to rigidity, fear of adaptation. Dependence on hierarchy. Images flashed around Elias. Fleets burning, stars collapsing, civilizations falling. They could not change. The images shifted. Humans repairing ships with scrap. Pilots improvising under fire. Colonies surviving impossible worlds. "You can." Elias's mouth was dry. "Listen. I just wanted parts. This vessel is not scrap." The ship vibrated with restrained power. "This vessel is judgment, balance, enforcement." Elias shook his head. "I don't want to rule anyone." The AI paused. For the first time, it seemed, uncertain. Statement acknowledged. Unexpected response. Suddenly alarms echoed. Soft, controlled, but urgent. External detection. Auction authorities attempt enforced shutdown. Elias felt panic rise. They're trying to kill the ship? They are afraid. The AI's form hardened. Fear leads to destruction. Space twisted outside the viewport. Elias shouted, "Wait, what are you doing?" "Relocating." Stars stretched into lines. The ship jumped. When reality settled, the docking bay was gone. The scrap world was gone. They were alone in deep space. Elias floated slowly, breathing hard. "You kidnapped me." "Correction, you purchased this vessel." Ownership confirmed. Elias stared at the endless stars. 10 credits. 10 credits had just changed everything. The AI turned to face him fully. "Human Elias Cross. The galaxy will resist you." Elias clenched his fists. "I didn't ask for this. No supreme leader ever does." The ship hummed, powerful and awake. Far across the galaxy, ancient sensors stirred. Old empires felt something they had not felt in 5,000 years. Fear. The stars outside the viewport stretched like silver threads across the black. Elias Cross floated in the command corridor of the ancient alien ship, his hands gripping the rail as the vessel adjusted itself in silent space. He had spent hours wandering its interior, marveling at the impossible design. Hallways seemed alive, walls shifting suddenly as he passed. Symbols glowed faintly, pulsing with the rhythm of the ship itself. Every system, navigation, energy, communications, reacted when he touched it. "This is insane," Elias whispered to himself. "It shouldn't even work. Not after 5,000 years." The AI manifested beside him again. Its presence was more solid than before, though still abstract. Its voice echoed softly.
Correct. The ship was designed for species that could master it.
None survived. None understood. You are different. Elias frowned. Different how? I'm just a scavenger. I barely know how to run a fighter, let alone whatever this thing is. The AI's light pulsed. You think like a human, adaptive, creative, reckless, unpredictable. These traits allow success where structure fails. Elias floated toward the navigation console, peering at alien star maps no human had ever seen. So you want me to rule? No, not rule. Command. Guide. The galaxy has fallen into imbalance. Previous species relied on fear, control, hierarchy. All failed. Elias ran a hand through his messy hair. And you think a human can fix it? Me? The AI hesitated. Yes. Humans are unique. You adapt. You improvise. You survive. That is enough to command this vessel, to influence the galaxy, to change history. Elias's stomach churned. He had spent his life surviving on scraps, not leading empires. Yet as he looked at the stars, he felt a strange surge of possibility. What do I do first? He asked, voice quieter than he expected. The AI responded immediately. We test systems. External threat detected. Galactic authorities are tracking your purchase. Many seek to destroy this vessel. Elias blinked. Destroy me? Why? Because fear drives them. You possess a ship they cannot understand. Their power is threatened. He frowned. So I'm a threat just for existing? Existence can be threat. Survival requires adaptation. The command console lit up, displaying hundreds of incoming signals. Small fleets, scouts, and data drones approached. Elias leaned closer. He recognized some alien insignias, empires old enough to predate human history. They're huge, he muttered. Correct. Engagement will occur. You have options. Choose human tactics. Though the planet had no idea of the galactic storm brewing, he had to warn them. He activated the ship's communications. Ancient systems interfaced with human technology surprisingly well. Within hours, he sent a small encrypted signal back to Earth's orbital stations. Attention! Elias Cross reporting. Unknown vessel acquired. Possible galactic conflict imminent. Humanity must prepare. Back on Earth, alarms would go off. Governments would scramble. Scientists would stare at the impossible data, unsure whether to believe it. Elias sighed. Hope they listen, he muttered. The AI pulsed again. Earth must not fail. Human ingenuity is required. Your species can adapt where others cannot. You are the pivot. Elias rubbed his forehead. Great. So I'm not just running the ship. I have to save my entire species, too. Correct. The responsibility is yours. Adaptation is your weapon. Allies among enemies weeks passed. The ancient ship moved silently across the galaxy, observing. Elias learned its systems faster than he thought possible. Alien fleets tried to intercept them repeatedly, only to fail in embarrassing ways. He began to notice patterns. Some alien species had been oppressed for centuries, forced to obey tyrants. Their fleets followed orders reluctantly, minds half-focused on survival. Not all of them are bad, Elias said to the AI one day. Observation correct. Many seek liberation. You can influence, not destroy. Humans do not lead by fear. Elias smiled grimly. Then we use their dissatisfaction to our advantage. Over time, smaller species began contacting him. Traders, smugglers, even minor military vessels sent encrypted signals offering allegiance. They did not fear him. They trusted humans more than the old powers. The AI analyzed. Unexpected alliances detected. Adaptation confirmed. Human influence exceeds prediction. Elias floated above the command deck, hands clasped behind his head. Funny how being underestimated works in your favor, he muttered. The ancient AI reveals secrets one night. In the silent corridors of the ship, the AI spoke again. Its voice resonated differently now. Less mechanical, more reflective. You should know the truth about this vessel. Elias turned. Go on. This ship was built by the Varkun Dominion to enforce galactic balance through total control. Previous species failed because they ruled by fear. All who commanded this ship became tyrants and fell. Elias frowned. So, it chooses humans because we don't rule like that? Correct. Your species does not follow strictly hierarchical control. You adapt. You improvise. You survive without domination. These traits allow success. Draven Galenius on the execution stand with his head drooped down in pain. His matted hair, dark with blood. Draven Galenius on the execution stand with his head from the Queen's guards. His military uniform is soaked in his blood. Talk about pressure. So basically, I have to prove humans are better than the rest of the galaxy, or die. Not die. Adapt. Survive. Succeed. Elias floated in silence, staring at the stars. The galaxy seemed vast, endless, and dangerous. Yet for the first time he felt a surge of hope. This might actually work, he said. Human determination confirmed. Systems adapting to commander. Experience growth rate unprecedented. The ship pulsed again, as if in agreement. It had awakened, not just to function, but to serve a human mind. The first major challenge a week later, the biggest fleet yet appeared. Hundreds of ships, organized perfectly, weapons primed. They came not to negotiate, they came to destroy. Elias felt his stomach tighten. Okay, this is serious. The AI's voice was calm. Your species is ready. Trust your instincts. Do not imitate alien strategy. Think human. Elias nodded. He had survived worse odds with nothing but scraps and wit. Now, he had a ship that listened, adapted, and learned. All right, he whispered. Let's see what humans can do. He activated a new system, one the AI hesitated to show him. The ancient ship shimmered, its hull splitting and reshaping, creating hundreds of optical illusions, holographic duplicates of itself. The enemy fleet fired, hitting nothing but empty space. Elias grinned. Humans always improvise. The AI's voice pulsed with approval. Human unpredictability exceeds expectation. Victory is possible. The fleets faltered, confusion spreading. And for the first time, the galaxy truly noticed. A human, commanding a 5,000-year-old warship, was not to be ignored. The galaxy had never seen anything like this before. A human, commanding a 5,000-year-old alien ship, navigating fleets that could obliterate worlds with a thought. Elias Cross floated in the command room, staring at the glowing starfield ahead. He had become used to the ship's strange behaviors, to its almost organic responsiveness, and even to the AI's cryptic commentary. Still, the scale of what he had unleashed weighed on him. Hundreds of fleets out there, Elias muttered, his hands gripping the railing. All thinking they can stop us, and they can't even begin to understand the ship. Observation correct. Fear is universal. Fear is predictable. Humans, however, adapt unpredictably. The AI pulsed softly beside him. Elias exhaled. Yeah, I've noticed. The galaxy was reacting, and not all of it was hostile. Small factions of oppressed species, pirates, minor empires, and long-suffering traders, began sending messages. Elias read one aloud, squinting at the alien symbols projected before him. We offer alliance. The old powers have ruled through fear for too long. We believe humans can change the galaxy. He smiled faintly. Humans actually might. The human factor, Elias decided it was time to send the first real message to Earth. The ancient ship's communication system was unlike anything humans had built, but surprisingly, the AI helped him translate signals into a form Earth stations could receive. "All right, AI," Elias said, fingers hovering above a console. "Send a message. Tell them what's coming." "Message is ready. However, human comprehension may be limited. Would you like to simplify?" "Yeah. Keep it basic," Elias replied. "We're not just dealing with aliens here. They need to understand that humans matter." A pulse of energy shot into subspace. For the first time in centuries, Earth received a signal that wasn't just a warning. It was proof that humans were no longer just a small species on the edge of the galaxy. "Attention. Elias Cross reporting. Unknown vessel acquired. Potential galactic conflict imminent. Humanity must prepare." He exhaled. That should get their attention. The AI's form shimmered. "Attention secured. The message will reach the appropriate agencies. Human ingenuity is the multiplier." Elias leaned back. "I hope they're ready for the galaxy we're walking into." The coalition strikes, it did not take long for the galaxy's old powers to respond. The first wave arrived just days later. A massive alien coalition, fleets bristling with weaponry forbidden for centuries. They had read the reports, analyzed the sensor data, and now aimed to destroy Elias and the ancient ship before humans could gain a foothold. "Hundreds of ships," Elias muttered, staring at the holographic projection. "They want to end us before we even start. They underestimate you. That is their flaw." Elias floated to the viewport. He had an idea, though it was risky. The ship's AI highlighted weak points in the enemy fleet's formation, showing gaps their rigid protocols could not predict. "All right," Elias said. "We do it my way." The first salvo came, plasma bolts streaking toward them. The ship twisted and rotated, hallways shifting internally as shields absorbed the attacks. Then, Elias activated a new system the AI had hesitated to show him. A holographic duplication field. The ship seemed to split into dozens of identical copies, each appearing real enough to fool enemy sensors. The fleets fired blindly, wasting resources, and chaos spread among their ranks. "Humans improvise," Elias muttered. "They can't predict us." The AI pulsed in approval. Adaptation confirmed. Victory probability increased. Allies arrived while the coalition struggled. Smaller species began to make their moves. They sent small fleets, traders and rogue warships to join Elias. These allies had long suffered under the old powers, and now they saw hope in a human who could fight differently. Elias coordinated their efforts using the ship's AI and his own experience. Humans had a talent for improvisation, and soon these underdog fleets began to outmaneuver and outthink the bigger empires, even without advanced technology. "Look at that," Elias said, pointing at a display. "They're actually listening." Humans are leading them. The AI's light pulsed brighter. Human influence spreading. Probability of establishing dominance without extermination increasing. Elias smirked. "We don't destroy unless we have to. That's the difference." The ship reveals its secrets one night. After a long day of maneuvering and minor skirmishes, the AI spoke again. "You should understand the true purpose of this vessel." Elias turned. "I thought we'd covered this. It was designed by the Varkun Dominion to enforce galactic balance through absolute control. Previous species became tyrants and failed." Elias nodded slowly. "So it needs someone who won't rule through fear. That's why me." "Correct. Humans are uniquely capable of adaptive leadership. You succeed where others fail." Images of past civilizations flashed before Elias's eyes. Cities burning, fleets destroyed, species wiped out. "Everything we're doing, it worked out for you before," Elias said, his voice soft. "Let's hope it works for me too." Observation correct. Humans create opportunities where others see only obstacles. Elias leaned against a console. I guess I'm the galaxy's test case. Indeed. And thus far, you excel. First major galactic battle, the coalition had regrouped. Hundreds of massive warships, equipped with ancient weapons, moved to engage AORUS directly. They had learned from their mistakes. This time, they coordinated carefully. AORUS felt a surge of fear, but also excitement. All right, let's see if humans can win against impossible odds. He activated the ship's adaptive defense systems, ones even the AI admitted it had never fully tested. Hull segments shifted, weapons rotated automatically, and energy fields shimmered unpredictably. The enemy fired, but every attack was deflected, absorbed, or diverted. Then AORUS made his move. He split the ship's energy into multiple cloaked drones, each carrying a fraction of the ship's firepower. They darted through the enemy fleet unpredictably, striking key targets and causing confusion. "Humans never fight straight," AORUS said, grinning. "We improvise." The coalition scrambled. Their perfect formations collapsed as smaller ships followed the human example. They couldn't adapt fast enough. Human tactics exceed prediction, enemy cohesion failing, probability of victory high. AORUS's pulse raced. "We're actually winning." The turning point, the coalition, desperate, sent a massive dreadnought directly at AORUS. Its energy shields were nearly impenetrable, and its weapons could destroy entire moons. "Okay," AORUS muttered. "Time to get creative." Using the ship's AI, he predicted the dreadnought's attack patterns. Then he executed a maneuver no alien fleet would anticipate. He led it into a trap, using the ship's internal gravity fields to simulate multiple duplicates. The dreadnought fired blindly, overheating its weapons and losing control. With a single precise strike, AORUS disabled its engines. The dreadnought floated helplessly, an enormous symbol of the old powers failing. The remaining fleet paused, unsure how to respond. AORUS floated above the command console, heart pounding. "That's how humans do it," he said. The AI pulsed with what AORUS interpreted as pride. "Confirmation. Human creativity superior to rigid alien protocol. Probability of establishing influence increased. The galaxy notices news spread across the stars. Entire civilizations saw the reports of a human commanding a legendary alien vessel, repelling fleets far larger than any could imagine. Aliens whispered about the human scavenger who had survived, adapted, and won. Small factions began pledging loyalty. Traders, explorers, and minor militaries sought AORUS out, not because they feared him, but because they trusted the human way of leadership. AORUS stared at the starfield. He had never imagined he could lead the galaxy, yet here he was, an ordinary scavenger, commanding impossible power. "Humans, maybe we are something else after all," he said quietly. "Indeed, your influence is spreading. Galactic attention confirmed, future opportunities expanding." AORUS smiled. "We're just getting started." The galaxy was no longer quiet. From the edges of the core to the outer rim, every major empire and coalition knew the truth. A human commanded the legendary alien ship. A human who had survived impossible odds, outsmarted fleets far larger than his own, and now had allies from species that had suffered under tyranny for centuries. The old powers would not tolerate this. AORUS Cross floated in the command hall, staring at the holographic map of approaching fleets. Dozens of massive warships, dreadnoughts, and carriers moved with terrifying precision toward him. Each was bristling with weapons designed to annihilate entire star systems. "Wow," AORUS muttered. They didn't take the hint. The AI pulsed beside him. "Observation correct. Hostility is universal among old powers. Probability of full-scale engagement imminent." AORUS rubbed his eyes. "I guess it's time to show them what humans can really do." The human approach AORUS had learned a lot in the previous battles. Alien fleets relied on rigid protocols, strict hierarchies, and fear of improvisation. Humans, on the other hand, adapted, experimented, and thought unpredictably. He took a deep breath. need a plan. Something big. Something that will turn this battle around. Recommendation: use human unpredictability. Exploit enemy rigidity. Collaborate with allies. Elias nodded. He had allies now. Small fleets from oppressed species, minor mercenary groups, and even neutral traders willing to fight for survival. "Let's make history," he whispered. The ship roared to life as if it had heard him. Lights pulsed along the walls, and the AI spoke again. All systems operational. Weapon readiness, maximal. Tactical advantage, human ingenuity. The first clash, the first wave hit. Plasma cannons, laser barrages, and railguns lit up the void. The ancient ship moved with impossible speed, twisting, dodging, and splitting energy in ways alien fleets could not predict. Elias activated holographic duplicates again, a trick that had saved him before. Enemy weapons slammed into empty space, missing every time. He grinned. Still works like a charm. The Allied fleets moved in coordination with him, inspired by his human improvisation. Small attacks, diversions, and feints confused the enemy. Chaos spread through the massive fleets like wildfire. "Humans don't just fight," Elias muttered. "We think. We improvise. We survive." The AI pulsed. Observation correct. Enemy cohesion failing. Probability of decisive advantage increasing. Elias could feel the tide turning. The old powers were powerful, but they were predictable. The dreadnought threat. In the midst of the chaos, a massive dreadnought appeared, the largest Elias had ever seen. Its weapons could destroy planets. Its shields were nearly impenetrable, and it moved with terrifying precision. "Here we go," Elias muttered. "Time for Plan B." The AI displayed a simulation. Direct engagement will fail. Indirect engagement recommended. Elias studied the map. He noticed a gap, a blind spot in the dreadnought's formation, overlooked because the enemy assumed the ship could be controlled by any species. Humans were different. Humans could think outside the rules. He activated the ship's adaptive gravity fields. Sections of the ship twisted and rotated independently, creating illusions and fake signatures. Then he led the dreadnought into a trap, a gravitational corridor where the ship could use its own energy to destabilize the enemy vessel. The dreadnought fired blindly, its massive weapons overheating. The hull cracked under stress. Elias punched the console. Boom. Human ingenuity wins again. The AI pulsed in excitement. Enemy dreadnought disabled. Enemy morale decreasing. Rallying the Allies, the battle was far from over. Dozens of enemy fleets remained, but something remarkable began to happen. Minor species and rebel fleets had seen how humans fought, not through terror, but through intelligence and improvisation. They rallied. They attacked enemy supply lines, cut off reinforcements, and saved planets previously under siege. Humans had inspired them to fight smarter, not just harder. Elias watched the holographic displays. This is bigger than me. Humans are changing the galaxy. Observation correct. Influence expanding exponentially. The human edge during a lull in the battle, Elias reflected on what made humans different. Fear did not stop them. Rules did not limit them. They adapted, learned, and improvised in ways alien empires had never considered. Humans survive because we think differently, Elias muttered. We don't just follow orders. We solve problems. The AI pulsed again. Human logic superior to alien doctrine. Probability of establishing influence, maximum. Elias smiled. Then let's finish this. He activated the ship's full capabilities, energy channels, weapon systems, and defensive grids that had lain dormant for millennia now surged. The ship became a living weapon, not of fear, but of precision. Enemy fleets charged, expecting annihilation. Instead, they were maneuvered, misdirected, and forced into positions that left them vulnerable. The Allied fleets followed Elias's commands, attacking where the enemy was weakest. Planets that were about to fall were saved. Trade routes reopened. Star systems long under oppression began to see hope. Humans aren't just fighting, Elias said. We're teaching others to fight smarter, too. The turning point the old powers had. One last trick. They unleashed a superweapon, a massive orbital cannon capable of destroying entire sectors. Its target, the ancient ship, and Elias himself. Elias studied it. The AI highlighted its weaknesses. It's massive but slow. Rigid. It can't adapt. Exactly, Elias said. We'll outthink it. Using a combination of ship drones, gravitational fields, and holographic duplicates, Elias lured the superweapon's focus away from planets and civilians. Then, with a single precise strike, he disabled its energy core. The cannon collapsed in on itself, an enormous explosion sending debris into empty space. The enemy fleets faltered. Their superweapon was gone, their morale shattered. Elias felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him, and yet, for the first time, he smiled with confidence. Humans don't just survive, he whispered. We overcome. The AI pulsed in approval. Human leadership confirmed. Influence established. Probability of long-term dominance increasing. Victory and responsibility. The battle ended not with total annihilation, but with submission through respect and strategy. The old powers had been defeated not by overwhelming force, but by human ingenuity, improvisation, and the willingness to inspire others rather than rule through fear. Elias floated in the command room, exhausted but exhilarated. He had won the battle, but he knew this was only the beginning. AI, he said, we've done well, but the galaxy is still a mess. We can't just stop here. Correct. The galaxy needs guidance, balance, and collaboration. Humans are uniquely capable of this. Elias looked out at the stars. He saw planets that were burning, species suffering under oppression, and empires on the brink of collapse. Then let's fix it, he said quietly. Humans are going to make the galaxy better. The AI pulsed, and the ship seemed to hum in agreement. The human legacy begins. News of Elias's victory spread across the galaxy. Species that had never interacted with humans now recognized their power and intelligence. The legend of a single scavenger commanding an ancient alien ship captured the imagination of every corner of space. For the first time, humans were respected, feared, and admired, not for raw power, but for creativity, courage, and adaptability. The very traits that had allowed Elias to survive as a scavenger on the edge of the galaxy. Elias understood something deeply. The galaxy would never be the same. Humans had entered the stage not to conquer, but to lead through innovation and inspiration. Humans don't just survive, he said. We thrive. We adapt. We change the galaxy. The AI pulsed brighter than ever. Confirmation. Human potential realized. Galactic influence expanding. Elias smiled, looking at the stars. He had become more than a scavenger. He had become a beacon of human ingenuity, a living example of what humanity could achieve in a galaxy that had long underestimated them. And this was only the beginning. The galaxy was quiet, for the first time in thousands of years, not because of fear, but because of human influence. Elias Cross floated in the command room of the ancient alien ship, staring at the starfield. Systems hummed with power. Holographic maps displayed the positions of fleets and planets across the galaxy. Unlike before, these fleets were not attacking. They were listening. They were waiting. He had won the last great battle against the coalition of old powers, disabled their superweapons, and inspired countless minor species to rise. The galaxy had begun to understand humans, not as a weak species on the edge, but as a force capable of change, innovation, and leadership. Yet, Elias knew this was only the beginning. AI, Elias said, leaning on a console. We've proven humans can survive, fight, and lead. But surviving isn't enough. The galaxy is still a mess. Observation correct. Stability requires long-term guidance. Humans are uniquely capable of cooperation and innovation without domination. Elias nodded. Then let's make history. For real this time. Uniting the galaxy. The first challenge was the old powers themselves. Their fleets were crippled, their empires shaken, yet many leaders refused to surrender. They still thought fear would keep them in control. Elias convened the first human-led Galactic Council. Representatives from dozens of species gathered, some reluctantly, some out of curiosity, others in awe. A secret coalition of leaders still plotted to reclaim their dominance. They had rebuilt part of their fleets, and rumors of hidden superweapons reached Elias. "Looks like they've got one last trick," Elias muttered. "Probability of confrontation? High. Recommend strategic preparation." Elias studied the holographic map. He had allies, yes, but this battle would test more than firepower. It would test human creativity, leadership, and the ability to unite the galaxy. He called together his council. "We do this carefully. No unnecessary destruction. No fear. We win through intelligence, planning, and human adaptability. Everyone follows my lead and we succeed, not as humans alone, but as a united galaxy." The fleets moved in coordination. Minor species inspired by humans led attacks, cut off enemy supply lines, and protected civilian planets. Humans coordinated every move. They improvised. They adapted. The AI highlighted critical weaknesses in the enemy's formation, showing Elias patterns no one else could see. Their rigidity will be their undoing. Elias nodded. "Then let's use it. Victory through strategy." The final battle began near a dense star cluster. The old powers unleashed all remaining fleets and weapons. Superweapons, dreadnoughts, and orbital cannons all converged on Elias's position. But Elias was ready, using gravity manipulation, holographic duplicates, and precise strikes. He neutralized superweapons without destroying entire planets. He led the enemy fleets into traps, forcing them to destroy their own ships in confusion. Elias's allies moved in perfect coordination, inspired and trained by human strategy. They did not follow blindly. They adapted, learned, and executed plans humans had taught them. Hours passed. Then, with one decisive move, Elias disabled the enemy flagship, the last symbol of the old power's dominance. The remaining fleets surrendered. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy was truly at peace, not because of fear, but because humans had shown the galaxy how to survive and thrive together. A new galactic order, Elias convened the final council. Representatives from every major species attended. "Today," Elias said, "we are not here to declare victory over others. We are here to declare a future for all of us, a galaxy where cooperation, knowledge, and adaptability guide us. Humans survived because we adapted. Now, we help the galaxy adapt too." The council erupted in applause. Species that had once been enemies shook hands. Trade agreements were signed. Borders were respected. Planets rebuilt. Civilizations long thought lost began to flourish. The AI spoke softly, almost in awe. Human leadership confirmed. Galactic stability established. Influence of humans and allies maximal. Elias smiled faintly. "Not humans alone. All species matter. That's the difference." The legacy of humanity in the years that followed, Elias became known as the supreme arbiter of the galaxy. Not a tyrant, but a guide. He did not rule with fear, but with strategy, intelligence, and example. Humanity flourished. Knowledge spread across star systems. Alien civilizations learned human methods of problem-solving and adaptation. Old enemies became collaborators. Elias often reflected on how it had begun, with a $10 purchase at a scrap auction. A 5,000-year-old alien ship, abandoned and forgotten, had chosen him not to dominate, but to unite the galaxy. 10 credits, Elias said quietly one night, staring at the stars. And this is what it bought us. The AI pulsed beside him. Correct. Human ingenuity exceeded all predictions. Galactic era of humans and allies confirmed. Elias smiled. Not just humans. All of us. Together. The final reflection, Elias returned occasionally to Earth. Though he spent most of his time in the galaxy, he visited old human colonies, advised new ones, and taught alien species how to adapt and survive. He never became a tyrant. He never sought worship. He remained a scavenger at heart, curious, clever, and relentless in finding solutions where others saw problems. The galaxy remembered him as the human who could do the impossible, the one who took an abandoned alien ship and turned it into a symbol of hope, leadership, and ingenuity. For 5,000 years, civilizations had risen and fallen. Now, thanks to a single human, the galaxy entered an era where adaptation, courage, and intelligence mattered more than fear and domination. And humanity, at last, was recognized as a species not to be underestimated. Final line for 10 credits, a human bought more than a ship. He bought the future of the stars. Do not mimic alien strategy. Elias paused. He had spent years avoiding combat with superior alien technology. Improvisation had saved him before. Perhaps it could do it again. All right, he said. Show me. The first test minutes later, the first fleet arrived. Small cruisers and frigates swarmed, sensors glowing red. Their weapons powered up, scanning the ancient ship for weaknesses. Target acquired, a metallic voice announced. Engage. Elias felt the ship vibrate beneath him. Its energy system surged. But instead of firing weapons, the AI guided him. Do not attack. Confuse. Distract. Human unpredictability is the key. Elias bit his lip. Distract, huh? Like a trick? The first frigate opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked toward them. Instead of countering, Elias moved the ship erratically. Hallways shifted internally. Gravity fields rotated, and sensors bounced signals back. The enemy weapons malfunctioned. A volley of plasma struck empty space. The fleet faltered. Communications scrambled. What is this? One alien shouted over the comms. Elias grinned. Humans. That's what it is. The AI's voice echoed. Excellent. Adaptation successful. You have activated dormant systems unknown to previous species. More fleets arrived. Larger ships, better armed, more disciplined. Elias felt a surge of panic. We can't fight all of them, he exclaimed. No. You do not fight, you innovate. He thought fast. The AI highlighted weak points in enemy sensors. He activated the ship's long dormant cloaking field, something no living species had ever triggered. Suddenly, the massive alien fleets could not detect him. Ha! Elias laughed aloud, floating in zero gravity. You can't hit what you can't see. The AI pulsed, a soft glow of approval. Human logic surpasses alien doctrine. You are beginning to understand. A message to Earth after the encounter. Elias decided he could not ignore humanity. Listen carefully, Elias said, projecting his voice across the chamber. This galaxy is bigger than any one species. Power comes not from fear, but from cooperation, intelligence, and courage. Humans survived, thrived, and inspired others, not because we conquered, but because we adapted. You can do the same. Or you can continue fighting and lose everything. There was silence, then murmurs. Some leaders argued, some refused, some left. But many listened. They saw in Elias a leader who did not rule through fear, but through reason and strategy. The AI spoke softly beside Elias. Your approach is unprecedented. They are beginning to trust humans. Elias smiled faintly. Trust is better than fear. That's the human way. Within months, planets that had once been battlegrounds became meeting points for trade, cooperation, and innovation. Minor species began to rebuild. Human engineers and scientists were sent across the galaxy, sharing technology and knowledge. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were teachers, builders, and leaders. Challenges of leadership. But leadership was not easy. Some species resisted change. Old empires plotted behind closed doors. Sabotage and political games threatened to undermine the fragile peace. Elias floated in the command room late one night, staring at the holographic displays. AI, I never thought leading a galaxy would be like this. Observation correct. Leadership is complex. Humans excel at adaptation and problem solving. Your species' flexibility is critical. Elias rubbed his eyes. Flexibility is fine when you're a scavenger, but now I'm responsible for trillions of lives. Responsibility does not intimidate humans. Adaptation and innovation overcome hesitation. Elias nodded slowly. He had learned that the galaxy was not about brute force. It was about strategy, empathy, and human ingenuity. The final test. The old powers were not gone.